Good morning to you and welcome on this lovely Thursday morning. Nice to see you and welcome to Penn Vicarage for this morning. And whether you're watching in Penn or whether in Tamworth or Weston-super-Mare or wherever you may be, a very, very warm welcome to you and lovely to see you on this Thursday morning. I hope you're enjoying our Bible talks at the moment. I hope you had a good day yesterday. It was throwing it down in Penn, but I'm glad to say, you don't really care, but I'll tell you anyway, I managed to get 18 holes in just before the rain came in, which was great. But I hope you had a lovely day too, and lovely to see you this morning. Friends, as you know, we are working our way through the Gospel of Matthew. We're in chapter 20 of 28 this morning. And Jesus, the kind of context is, Jesus has been doing his Galilean ministry, he's been going right up north and so on. And now he's testing his face towards Jerusalem now for the final showdown. And you may hear the word Jericho mentioned. Jericho is a town not far from Jerusalem, which he kind of went into before he went into Jerusalem. So we are, without further ado, Matthew chapter 20, starting to read at verse 17. While Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, "See, we're going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and flogged and crucified, and on the third day he will be raised." And the mother of sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked a favour of him. And he said to her, "What do you want?" She said to him, "Declare that these two sons of mine will sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your kingdom." But Jesus answered, "You do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I'm about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup, but to sit at my right hand and at my left is not mine to grant, but it's for those for whom it's been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard it, they were angry with the two brothers. But Jesus called them to him and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and the great ones are tyrants over them. It will not be so among you, but whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant. Whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." As they were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. There were 2 blind men sitting by the roadside. They heard that Jesus was passing by. They shouted, "Lord, have mercy on us, Son of David." The crowd sternly ordered them to be quiet, but they shouted even more loudly, "Have mercy on us, Lord, Son of David." Jesus stood still and called them, saying, "What do you want me to do for you?" They said to him, "Lord, let our eyes be opened." Moved with compassion, Jesus touched their eyes. Immediately they regained their sight and followed him. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, this reading fits neatly into 3 sections. First, there's the conversation. Then there's the bit with the wife of Zebedee and her sons, and the third bit is the bit with the 2 blind men in Jericho. We'll take them one at a time. Firstly, Jesus tells them just when it's about to go towards Jerusalem, he tells them for the 3rd time that he's going to die and rise again, of course. It's slightly different this time. He does tell you he's going to be tried first. He does say there's going to be a judicial process first. But I think what it's really saying is reminding the disciples for the 3rd time that this is going to happen. When the Bible says something 3 times, it's code for you've got to get the message. This is really important. Primary school teachers would call it reinforcement, I think. So Jesus here is reinforcing the message to his disciples that he is going to be tried, he is going to die, and he's going to rise. And he's getting that message. So it's not an accident. It wasn't, it wasn't because things went wrong. It was always meant to be this way. And Jesus is very keen to tell them it's going to happen. And as I say, to make it clear to them that it wasn't an accident. He wasn't taken up by events. Actually, it was meant to happen. It was meant to be that way. And that's the first thing. Then you get this lovely bit of byplay between the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee, and Jesus. One of the things I love about the disciples is how human they were. We often see pictures in stained glass windows of saints, and they're made to look terribly, terribly holy, as if butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. But actually, if you think about it, dig under the surface a bit, and they were a right rum lot. They really were. I mean, you've got Peter, the rock, who 1 minute he's being called the rock, next minute he's being saying, "Get behind me, Satan." One minute he's promising that he'll follow Jesus to the end. The next minute he's denying Jesus 3 times, that he even knew Jesus 3 times. I mean, really and truly, that's an interesting kind of rock, dare I say. You've got Simon the Zealot and Judas Iscariot, who were terrorists. And of course, Judas Iscariot was also the treasurer at the same time. At the same time, you've got Matthew, who was a tax collector, which is code for a traitor. And it could go on and on. But James and John here, this demonstrates a particularly sort of a difficult side of their personality, which is ambition. We talk about money, sex and power, don't we? Okay. And you'll hear stories about Christian ministers going off the rails because of financial scandals. You hear stories about vicars going off the rails because of sexual scandals. But this other one is this one here this morning is a bit more subtle. Lots of clergy have this as well. It's the temptation to ambition, to be powerful, to look good, and to be top dog. And it's very, very pervasive. And I dare I say it's pervasive in the church as well. As I say, it's a common feature of humanity. And actually it's interesting because when Jesus tells them off, the disciples kind of weigh in there as well, because they clearly feel the same thing too. And a quick word, if I may, about ambition, because it can be quite a nasty thing in some cases. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious, actually. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do great things for God and with God. There's nothing wrong in wanting the church that you lead or whatever to really thrive. I think that's fantastic. There's nothing wrong, of course, with wanting the best that God has for you. That for not hiding a lamp under a bushel, for not for not hiding your coins under a bed. In some ways we are meant to go for it with God, and it's right to have ambition. It's right to have ambition for the church. It's right to have ambition for what God's going to do with you and for your family, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we do need to remember that actually in Christian circles, with responsibility and leadership also comes the ability to serve. And not just to serve here, you actually go strong, you use the word slave as well. That Christian leadership is also about service, very, very much so. And it can be suffering too, because it means that you have to carry the people with you. How does that hymn put it? I will hold your people in my heart, and when they hurt, you hurt. And 11 of the 12 disciples, of course, did end up being martyred. Interesting. John, interesting enough, was one of these. Was the only one that wasn't actually martyred in the end. But he did suffer in other ways as well. So I think what this tells us here is that, you have the humanity of the disciples, which is a wonderful thing. I think it's great, because if they get it wrong, then we can get it wrong too. On display here, I think that's fantastic. There's hope for the rest of us. But I think this also tells us that ambition is something which is very pervasive, and it's very pervasive in the church as well. There's nothing wrong inherently with ambition, but with ambition has to be the ability to serve and the ability to suffer on occasions as well where necessary. But finally, as they're leaving Jericho, they encounter these two blind men on the side of the road. Now, I think Luke calls them Bartimaeus, but here we've got two. We're not given their names, and I think there are lots of things we can get out of this. That firstly, that Jesus, even though he's about to go for the final showdown in Jerusalem, he's about to save the world. There's no bigger job than that, is there? But actually, Jesus has still got time for this person, for these people, I should say. Jesus, even though he's at a crucial time in his ministry, he's still got time for these two people. Secondly, I think there's this bit about the Son of David. Last week at Alpha we did Who is Jesus? And tomorrow we do Why did Jesus die? Actually, you need both those things. It isn't just a bloke on the cross, it isn't just God, but actually you need the combination of the cross, who Jesus is, and the death of Jesus as well. When you remember who it is on the cross, how does the song put it? Hands that flung stars into space, to cruel nails surrender. We just remember this, the same person, the same Jesus who went to the cross for us. And finally, of course, these two men, their eyes were shut, and now they were opened. And I do wonder if there's the disciples who've got it horribly wrong. It's almost a sort of final plea to God. Please can you open the eyes of my disciples? They can see what's going on too. But they have their eyes opened, and what's the first thing they do? Having their eyes been opened, they follow Jesus and they go with him all the way. And actually, when our eyes are opened, we go with Jesus too. When we can see what's really going on, when we see the truth, we can go with Jesus too. So, lots of things in our reading this morning. Firstly, to say, you've got the bit about Jesus tells them for the third time that he's going to die and rise again. Secondly, you've got the humanity of the disciples here for all to see. And also that ambition is not necessarily a bad thing, but it has to come with service and it has to come with suffering sometimes as well too. But finally, you've got Jesus opening the eyes of these two blind men. He's got time for them. That actually it's important to remember who Jesus was, the same person that goes to the cross. And finally, that when people's eyes are opened, it's Jesus that they follow. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of Thursday. More tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Tomorrow, Jesus comes into Jerusalem. Palm Sunday, so we're looking at tomorrow. But for now, enjoy a lovely day. God bless you.